Hey, I'm Sean for Rusty Shovel TV, and in this episode what I wanted to talk to you about is give you some advice for doing your shrub beds and your mulch beds, and the kind of the process that you want to use to go through and get that done properly. So when you're doing your mulch bed, what you're going to want to do is get your soil in there, get it to the grade that you want, and then the next step is going to be putting down your fabric. Now we've got, you can see behind me, I've got a bunch of 3-foot rolls of fabric, 3 foot by 300 foot. It's a nice thick grade fabric that's going to do probably the best job of helping you keep the weeds down in your beds and separating your mulch or your rock from your soil. So we've also got it in a 6 foot by 300 roll, 15 foot by 300 roll, and a 7.5 foot by 300 foot roll. So we can also do partial roll cutting for you here at the Rusty Shovel Landscape Shop. We'll cut off a 6 foot wide chunk by whatever length you need. So after you get all of your dirt down, what you're going to want to do is spread out your fabric. So when you're spreading out your fabric, you're going to just make sure that all the areas that are going to be covered with mulch are covered with this fabric, and you're inevitably going to have some seams. So what you're going to want to do is overlap about six inches or so on each seam, so that you don't leave any gaps for the weeds to come up through the fabric. And what you can do there is use a staple like this that we've got to keep the fabric down and securely in place. So then the next step, if you're going to be doing shrubs, what you can do is just dig out or cut a hole in the fabric and put your shrub, dig your hole, put that into say a wheelbarrow or something like that, and mix in with some peat moss or something, so you get a little bit better soil for your trees or shrubs to grow in. Then you're going to obviously put your plant in your hole, fill it back in, and then you're good to go. The next step is if you're doing an irrigation system, which isn't that difficult in a shrub bed, it's just going to be probably a drip system. You're going to run your 3/4 inch or 1/2 inch pipe through your bed, and then come off with 1/4 inch tubing to your emitter at the base of each plant. And to keep that pipe on top of the fabric down, so it's not kind of floating all over the place, we've got a different kind of a staple with a curved top to keep the pipe on the ground and securely in place. So then the next step is going to be bringing in your mulch. You want to bring in, at least a good 3, 4, 5 inches if you can of mulch on top of that fabric. The more mulch that you put on, the less trouble you're going to have with weeds. There's no guarantees with weeds, whether it's not going to completely eliminate it, but the better the quality fabric you put down and the more mulch you put down is going to definitely go a long way to keeping the amount of weeds down. If you leave the weeds for a long time, they're going to grow right through the fabric, or not through the fabric, but down into the fabric. What happens is the weeds, typically with the thick fabric that we've got here, they're not growing up through the fabric from underneath. What they do is establish a root zone on top, so they're going to be easier to pull if you get them early. But if you leave them for a long time, anything's going to grow through that fabric and establish a real thick root zone. So and one thing I forgot to tell you as well, when you're putting all that, before you put the fabric down and you're getting the soil in place, make sure you take out all of the any weeds that are already established there, whether it's spraying or digging them out, whatever your preference is there. But make sure that you've got a good clean slate of soil to work with before you put that fabric down. So just wanted to let you know that we do have the fabric in stock here, and we can help you out with the idea of getting your shrub beds ready for the growing season.